Chapel Middle School online on the special February 21st edition. I'm so glad you made it here. As you know, everything we do here at the chapel is to help you move one step closer to God and each other through Jesus Christ. Hey, we have a great show for you today. I'm going to be answering all of the rest of your awkward questions, and it's the last week of our awkward series. And other than that, we need to get started with the Chapel Middle School Game of the Week. All right, Chapel Middle School, it's time for the Game of the Week. Today we're playing Celebrity Yearbook. A celebrity yearbook. Now, I am a sucker for celebrity photos, especially their yearbook photos. So, I don't know if it's fair if we should play together, because I think I'm going to destroy you so badly. So basically, we'll have 10 seconds, and I will give you 9 of those seconds to beat me with. And at the last moment, I'm going to come in, and I'm going to guess, and hopefully I'm going to get it right. So you'll have every chance in the world to answer first, and we'll see how well you do. All right? Keep track of your score, you versus me, or you can just play with the people in your house, or all of you against me. I'll take you down. I will take you down. I will take you down. All right, now I already know the answer to the first one, so I won't even guess. So you already have one off the bat. Already 1 point, 1 million points against 0. I have 0. You will already have 1,000,000 points. All right, you ready to play Celebrity Yearbook? Let's go. Number 1. Who is that handsome man? And of course, again, I already saw the answer. All right, the answer is Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt. Okay. All right, you're ahead of me, 1,000,000 to 0. Of course, I won't know your score. I'm still going to give you the answers if I can guess it right. Number 2. Oh my word, I have no idea who that is. It has to be a girl. A girl dressed as a guy. Bruno Mars! That's what I meant! Bruno Mars! Yikes, I called him a girl. That's no good. Okay. Number 3. Oh, I know who that is. Did you guess it? My guess is Emma Stone. Emma Stone. The answer is... All right, Emma Stone. I'm on the board. I got 1. Number 4. Oh, dang. Who is that guy? I have no clue. I have no clue who that is. No guess, so you probably got this one. The answer is James Franco. Wow, would have never guessed. All right. Number 5. Who the heck could that be? Oh man, I'm so old. You guys probably know all these. Ed Helms. Ed Helms is from The Office. You guys even know who Ed Helms is? Alright, next one. Oh, I bet I know who this one is. Do you know who this is? That's the question. Alright, my guess? Lady Gaga. Yeah! Alright. Next one. Oh! I know who this is. I don't know his name, though. I think I know it. I think it's Paul. It's the guy who plays Ant-Man. The answer is Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd. Nice. You probably got that one. Alright, what are we on? 7? 8? I don't even know at this point. That's amazing. That is amazing. Totally know who that is. Who do you think it is? Samuel L. Jackson. Alright. Oh, I know who that is. Gosh, she doesn't look any different, does she? What is her name? Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz. Alright, here we go. Next one. That's awesome. Gosh, all these people are my age. That is so funny. Amy, I forget her last name. Poehler. Amy Poehler. There we go. Next one. Oh. Wow. These are crazy. Has to be Jimmy Fallon. The answer is Jimmy Fallon. All right. All right. Oh, nice. All right. You know who this guy is? I'm sure you got that one right. Barack Obama. Answer is Barack Obama. All right. Celebrity Yearbook. There you go. How did you do? Certainly you beat me. Or did you? I want to know. If you beat me, by how much did you beat me? Maybe someday you're going to be famous and I'll still be doing middle school ministry and I'll have your picture up there from when you were a middle schooler. All right, awkward questions. The last week. So sorry that my sweet wife Jen isn't here. It's not going to be as good, but I'm going to do my best to cover all of them. And we have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go as fast as I can. Are you ready? Let's go. To what limit are sexual desires okay until you are married? You know, like what are the limits of what you can do before marriage versus after? You know, like what's acceptable to do before marriage? Or another question is what is okay to do or not to do? So Pastor Todd has a great illustration that we talked about a couple weeks ago about sex being like dynamite. You know, it's very powerful if it is packaged the right way and used safely. I mean, you could use dynamite to shoot up fireworks and it's incredibly magical, right? But in the wrong hands or in the wrong context, dynamite can be used to blow things up and cause incredible destruction. So when shared in a marriage, it can be like fireworks, but outside of marriage, it can cause a lot of damage. You know, when I was a teen, I had a lot of well-meaning adults who would tell us, you know, this bathing suit rule, like anywhere where there's a bathing suit covered is off limits. And of course, my question was, well, how big of a bathing suit are we talking about? You know, because the problem was all I was thinking about was me, you know, what I could get away with, you know, what I could get from someone else, what I could have, how close I could get. You know, it was like, how long can I hold this dynamite before I blow off my hand, you know? Well, that fuse is a lot shorter than you think. Truly, your sexuality is a gift, and it's up to you to determine what and how much you want to give to someone else. And it's a pretty special thing to be able to tell your spouse that you have saved that gift for them. You know, before we move to the next question, I know there are some of you who've had parts of your sexuality taken by someone else. And I want you to know how sorry I am that that happened. Please know that it is not your fault. There is nothing wrong with you. You didn't make it happen. What happened to you was wrong. And that does not take away from the gift of your sexuality. This is two separate things. If you have been touched in an inappropriate way from a relative or a family friend or someone else you thought of as a friend, please talk to an adult about it. I have 4 kids, and if any of them have been hurt like that, I would never want them to have to keep that to themselves or carry that by themselves. Even if someone threatened, like, I'm going to hurt your dad if you tell me, or I'm going to hurt someone else, I would want to know so that I could take care of my kid. Please tell someone. If you're not ready to tell a parent, tell another adult that cares about you. What is the reason for sex? Well, the very first chapter of the Bible tells about how God created the world. After he made men and women, check out what God did. It says, then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it. Well, at least one reason for us was to be able to have children. And of course, God knew that some people would not be able to have kids, but they can still have sex. So there must be more to it than just kids, right? God made sex because he loves bringing joy to your life. And he loves to give you good things. And like all good things, when used inappropriately, it can bring lots of hurt. But when done in the context of marriage, it can be an act of worship to God. All right, well, why do people have sex in middle school? I've heard about this happening. I think there are lots of reasons. Some students experiment sexually out of curiosity. Books, songs, TV, music, movies makes you feel like it's the most important thing in the world, right? They make it seem like the ultimate way that you can express your love for someone is through sex. So I think it's pretty normal to be curious about it, and I think it's the only way to really show someone that you like them. Some of it, I think, is out of peer pressure, and society has normalized it to the point of taking all the specialness out of it. All right, what does it feel like? That is a great question, and I'm not sure how to express it without being totally awkward. Here's what I'll tell you about it, is that it's weird and awkward and exciting. But it's more than just physically. It's powerful being so vulnerable and honest with another person that you love. And it lights up your emotions and connects you with another person in the most powerful way. It feels good not only physically, but emotionally. And this is why done in marriage context is so important. So that when it is awkward and vulnerable, your spouse will be honest, trustworthy, and caring. All right, what do you do when you find yourself getting into sexual situations? So there's a guy in the Bible named Joseph who found himself in the same situation. Check it out. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, kind of like me. And Potiphar's wife began to look at him lustfully. "Come and sleep with me," she demanded. But Joseph refused. "Look," he told her, "my master trusts me with everything in this entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. He's held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a thing? It would be a great sin against God." She kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her, and he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work, and she came and grabbed him by the cloak, demanding, "Come and sleep with me." Joseph tore himself away, and he left his cloak in her hand and ran from the house. It's not a matter of if you'll find yourself in a sexual situation. So when you find yourself in a situation, what should you do? Be like Joseph and run. I know that sounds silly, but get yourself out of that situation. Look, if I'm trying to lose weight, I need to eat healthy things, right? And if someone puts ice cream or cookies or pizza in front of my face, I can turn it down pretty easily right now. But there are going to be some days when I'm tired or lonely or really hungry or angry or sad, and it's going to be way too difficult to not eat a slice of pizza or a cookie or 12. The best thing for me to do in that situation is to get out of there, anywhere other than there. So the next time that you are tempted to watch something, to look at something, to mess around with someone, be like Joseph and run. And share with the Lord that desire and struggle, and remember that Jesus is there with you. He totally understands what it's like to be tempted in sexual situations. He was a teenager and had hormones. He gets it. And he will give you a way out. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. All right. Is it wrong to have done it with more than one person? And is it wrong to have sex if you're not married? Well, it's kind of the same answer. Is it wrong? I don't know if that's really the right question. God created us to be with one person and to express that sexual desire with that one person. But if someone's spouse dies and they get remarried, it's not wrong for them to have sex. So it must not be wrong all the time to do it with more than one person. Remember, your sexuality is a gift, and God created it to strengthen your marriage. Think of it like super glue. Like, it helps you create this really strong emotional connection and bond with the other person. The Bible says that two people become one, and every part of your sexuality you share with someone else, holding hands, hugging, kissing, touching, you're creating this emotional bond with someone. And it makes it more difficult to break up with someone when you are so connected to them emotionally. Like, Sometimes, if you ever notice, you'll see people who are dating and they're like really terrible, and you're like, what does she see in that guy? Or why does that guy put up with the stuff that she's doing? Well, a lot of times it's because they feel so connected emotionally because of what they've shared physically, that even when it doesn't make sense, they stay with that person. It is literally harder breaking up with someone. I mean, it's never easy to break up with someone, but it's a whole lot easier to break up with someone who you've only held hands with rather than someone who you've had a kid with, right? All right, what can I do if I have done something with someone and I regret it? What should a person do if they've already had sex out of marriage and aren't sure what to do about it? First of all, welcome to the club. That is a very normal and understandable feeling, and we've all done things that we regret. First of all, please know that you are loved by God and precious to Him. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that could keep God from being ridiculously wild about you. You know, that feeling of regret means that you wished you had done something differently, and now you have the opportunity to do just that. And there will be a time in the future where you're going to fall into a similar situation and you're going to be tempted just as we all are tempted. And you may feel like if you do not give into this, that you will never be as happy as you could be. You're going to wrestle with, should I do this? Should I watch this? Should I look at this? And I want you to know that right there in that moment, Jesus is with you. And I promise that if you will seek Jesus, you will find Him. Check out this verse from the book of 1 Corinthians. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. And when you are tempted, He will show you a way out so that you can endure. 1 Corinthians 10:13. Here's that same verse from another version of the Bible called The Message. I like how it puts it. It says, no test or temptation that comes your way is beyond the course of what others have had to face. All you need to remember is that God will never let you down. He'll never let you be pushed past your limit. He'll always be there to help you come through it. The times when you're tempted, times when you feel defeated, when you feel like your life will be meaningless unless you give in, Jesus is there with you. Is it important for a married couple to have sex, and why? Yes. However, did you know that not everyone can have sex? And there are even some people that really don't enjoy sex. So something that's even more important than sex is to have communication, selflessness, and intimacy. Sex is not the be-all and end-all of being married. Last question. Why did people create protection if it is not supposed to be used in ways it is? And we're out of time. Just kidding. Hey, you know, the issue of contraception is a really personal one, and it's definitely something that you need to talk to with your mom or dad or whoever is raising you. All right, there we go. That's all of our questions. Woo! We made it. Hey, if there is a question that you still have that's not in this video or other videos, drop me a line, call, text, email, whatever you need to do. Get a hold of me, and I'm happy to answer with whatever question you have and help you with that conversation.
Hi there, you little chicken nuggets. It's me, Carl. I wanted to talk to y'all today about something pretty important. Now, as most of you know, I have chosen a life of singleness. No dating for this guy, and that's by choice. Totally by choice.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would.
Anyways, I know a lot of you little chicken nuggets have crushes, and you're not sure how to catch their attention. So I asked my cousin Gushan to give us a couple tips on how to impress the person you like. Guten Tag, stinky boys and girls. It's me, Gushan, fashion expert and world-renowned handsome fellow.
Back to the
So the rumor is you're having little school crushes and you need help impressing that special someone. So you've come to the expert for help. Ha ha ha! Clever you. So here are my top 5 ways to help you capture the attention of that lovely lady or gentleman. Nummer 1. Cover yourself in a sense that they cannot resist. I've learned that the ladies love a hint of sauerkraut. She likes it. Nummer 2. Butter them up. Ugh, das ist ekelhaft. Not quite what I meant. You'll want to butter them up with your smooth talking. Hey there, smooth face. Want to get ice cream and talk about climate change? Neither do I. Nummer 3. Show that silly boy or fancy girls that you have a sense of humor. Take this art, for example. Art? More like fart. Because it stinks. Ha ha ha! Carter is so funny, isn't he? Said no one. Nummer 4. Find some common ground. You know, something in common with them. Wow, we both have eyeballs. What a coincidence. Nummer 5. Be spontaneous. They always love it when you surprise them. So follow these 5 rules, and I guarantee you there will be no commerce back for you. Except for you, Carlo. There's no hope for you. Ha! Auf Wiedersehen. These stupid airplanes, they always fly around here. Fly somewhere else, airplane. No one likes you. They obviously don't appreciate the work that I'm putting in. Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
I know we're ready, because I'm always ready.
It's been nearly a year that we've been doing Chapel Middle School at home, and I'm sorry to say that today is the last one. I really appreciate all of you that have watched a couple episodes here and there. There's a few of you that have trying to do some penance, and you watch pretty regularly. I really do feel hopeful about the future and us getting back to a normal world. And so we have a lot to do to prepare for this summer and fall, and recruiting and training volunteer youth workers to minister to our students. And that's really where I need to be putting the focus of my time. I have really enjoyed doing these fun videos and teaching and sharing all of this with you, but it really does take a lot of time. More time than I'm sure it should, but I don't know how to do it any quicker. And I really do kind of enjoy it, but I really need to invest in our leaders more. What I will be doing now is in my weekly parent newsletter, I'll be giving you a handful of questions that relate with the message that's being taught. And so that way, it'll give you some talking points and ways to keep the conversation going at home. And, you know, I'm so grateful that we go to a church that has a great worship service that's suitable for everyone. Whenever you're ready, we'd love to have you back in person, especially if you're an 8th grader, just to have some few weeks left together with you before you make that transition to going into high school. Thanks for all your comments on the videos and on YouTube, and thanks for letting me add a little bit of joy and insight from God's Word into your life. Let me pray for you as we jump into this week's message. God, thanks for technology. Thank you for this message series. Thanks for our students and families. And thank you for the chapel and all that we are doing to bring honor to your name and to help everyone, families, students, parents, grandparents, move one step closer to you and to one another. Thank you for the work that you're doing in taking care of the coronavirus. And we anxiously wait to be able to enjoy your world again that you've created for us. God, would you open up our hearts and our minds to the message today about being the one you are looking for is looking for. We love you. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tyler, and I'm not gonna mess around here. I'm just gonna jump into it. How does the idea of talking about dating sound to you? Now, I guess it probably depends, doesn't it? It depends on who you're talking about dating with. Like, talking about your crush with your friends, not that big of a deal. It's like, who do you like? I'm not gonna tell you. Like, that's no problem. Talking or writing about dating in your journal doesn't seem too risky. Like, you can't see that. Now, but talking to your parents or your group leader here at church, whoa, pause, what? Now, to some of you, that right there, that might sound super awkward. Or honestly, maybe for you, it doesn't seem that awkward. It's no big deal, in which case, very good. But here's my point. But really, no matter how you feel about it, I think talking about dating, sex, sexual desires, and all the stuff that comes with it is too important to just skip over. I know that not everyone is allowed to date yet, and I know that not everyone wants to date yet, but I think it's important to have conversations like this one here at church because I want the best for you in all things, including dating. And I also know that what's best for you when it comes to dating can be really difficult to figure out. We see movies, TV shows, and influencer couples that give us these like too good to be true images of dating and relationships all the time. But here's the thing, dating and relationships aren't always picture perfect. You actually might have experienced this in your own relationships, or you've just noticed it in the adult relationships around you. They can be like awkward or frustrating or disappointing, confusing, messy, or just weird. The truth is that relationships can be less than perfect sometimes. I'd guess you could probably talk to almost any adult or older teenager in your life who has their own less than perfect dating story. And that's because dating just has the potential to be awkward. But knowing that, many of us still probably have an idea of what we hope a dating relationship might be like. Maybe right now we feel like we're ready to date, but we aren't allowed yet. Or maybe dating is all our friends seem to be talking about, but we just don't really care that much. Maybe we want to date somebody, but no one has seemed to notice us yet. Or maybe we've just started dating for the first time. When we think about dating, we tend to focus a lot on what we want the relationship to look like. We think about who we want to date, what we want the relationship to be like, and all the kind of stuff that we would want to do together. And while all of that stuff is definitely important to consider, I think when it comes to talking about dating and relationships, we often forget to ask what we should be focusing on before we even start dating. It's important because this answer impacts what dating looks like for us and even who we choose to date. Look, if you're even thinking, this is deep and all, but I'm not even trying to date right now, I get it. But it's an important question for us to ask because I think we're laying the foundation for our future relationships right now. So even if you're not dating or not interested in dating right now, understanding what we should be thinking about when it comes to relationships and dating is important. So when it comes to dating relationships, where do we look for help? How can we make sure we're focusing on the right things when it comes to dating both now and in the future? Well, there's actually some pretty old advice that might be helpful for us today. A couple thousand years ago, a guy named Paul wrote a letter to the Christians in a town called Corinth. Now, Paul was a guy whose life had been completely changed by Jesus. After encountering him, Paul started sharing the message of Jesus with people all over the world. And one of the places Paul went to spread this message was Corinth. After he'd spent time in the city, Paul wrote the people there a message to remind them of what God says is best for them. In this first letter to the Corinthians, Paul included a couple of sentences that can help us here and now. In fact, I think it's exactly the kind of stuff we should think about when it comes to dating and relationships. Check this out. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. So here, Paul listed what God says love actually looks like. Patient, kind, faithful, hopeful, lasting. When we think of that kind of love, isn't it exactly what we want other people to give us? I mean, honestly, don't we usually think about the type of love Paul mentioned as being about the other person in the relationship? Like, we want them to be patient. We'd like them to be kind. We hope they're faithful, But when we read a list like this, we usually see it as a long list of the things we want to find in the person we're dating. And to be clear, that's not bad at all. God does want us to have this kind of love in all of our relationships. He wants us to look for these types of characteristics in other people when it comes to everything from friendships to dating. But we shouldn't just look for them in other people. Instead of focusing on finding all this great stuff in other people, we need to stop and look at ourselves. We need to consider if we're that kind of person as well. Becoming the person God made us to be is so important. And a huge part of that is allowing God to develop all the characteristics on Paul's list in ourselves. What Paul wrote about 2,000 years ago is still what our lives and our love should be made of today. No matter if you choose to date or not, one step you can take toward becoming the person God created you to be is to practice sexual integrity. Basically, that means choosing to respond to the sexual things we feel, think, and desire in a way that respects ourselves, others, and God. Dating may be a very real way for you to learn to live out the important characteristics Paul wrote about. But you don't have to wait until you start dating to practice sexual integrity or to learn to live out these important characteristics. In fact, we actually need to put these characteristics into practice before we even think about dating someone else. Think about it like this. Focus on becoming love before looking for love. So, I don't know where you are with all this dating stuff. Maybe you're already dating, or you're not allowed to date. Maybe you're waiting to date someone, or you're just not ready or interested at all. Now, that's all okay. Wherever you are, you have the opportunity right now to live out the characteristics of love that Paul wrote about in his letter to the Corinthians. The reality is that God has given us all the power we need to become the type of people He wants us to be. So instead of using dating as a way to look for the right person, let's focus on developing the characteristics of love that Paul listed for us. Let's focus on becoming love before looking for love. So, okay, how can we do this? First, pick one, just one, of the characteristics on Paul's list that you want to develop in yourself. Maybe you could use more patience, or you'd like to be quicker to forgive, or you want to cut back on those rude comments you make about the people you care about the most. But what if you just started by picking just one characteristic in yourself that you'd like to grow? Then practice what you pick. Seriously. If you have a tendency to be rude to those you love, practice giving compliments to them on purpose instead. Or if you tend to be impatient, practice being patient in your responses to people this week. Or instead of holding a grudge, practice bringing up and talking through something that hurts your feelings. Now, none of this is easy, not easy. That's okay, because all of it can be so good. Real love takes a ton of work. And if we're gonna become love before looking for love, we're gonna need to focus on growing the characteristics necessary to be the type of person we would wanna date. A person who is kind, patient, honest, humble, hopeful, and all of the other things that Paul mentioned. Dating can definitely be awkward, but it won't always be that way. And when you choose to focus on the stuff that's important before you start dating, you're taking a step in the right direction. When you develop the characteristics God wants you to have and treat the other person the way He created you to, it can help you practice sexual integrity both now and in future relationships. Just imagine if for you, dating could be a really positive experience for you and the person you're dating. Even if you're not dating yet, what if focusing on becoming the loving person God created you to be could set you up for a better dating life if and when that day comes? Imagine if choosing to focus on becoming love before looking for love sets you up to have the best dating life possible. I know it might feel early to talk about dating for some of you, but it's never too early to become the person that God created you to be. That's why we've spent the last 4 weeks talking about sex and sexual desires here at church. And even though those topics can be awkward to talk about, I really believe they are important conversations we need to have, especially in middle school. And we don't want the conversation just to stop here. That's why you have your group leader and your group. Today, I want you to keep the conversation about dating going with your group. If nothing else, you can encourage each other to build characteristics that help you grow in love with each other. I think that's a pretty cool place to start.